So, welcome to the Tea Time with Alice Falling podcast. I'm Alice Falling, and today I get the pleasure of interviewing Erin Merryn, who is the founder of Erin's Law. Thank you so much for joining me, Erin.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, for those who aren't aware, what can you tell me about Erin's Law?
Yeah, Erin's Law requires kindergarten to 12th grade personal body safety education once a year in public schools. So, teaching kids the difference between safe and unsafe touch, safe and unsafe secrets, how to report abuse if it is happening to you, and to keep reporting it until it stops.
Okay. Is parental education part of that at all? Or is it?
We send a letter out to the schools on how to follow up with questions, how to talk to your kids about this, because
Okay.
I want the parents talking about this with their children.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, a lot of parents don't. So where's the one other place kids spend time? It's in the schools.
Yes, that's true. That's very, very
And
true.
some people, parents will say this is a parental right. They need to talk about this. We have an opt-out form. We're not taking away parental rights. If they don't want their child to be taught this, they can opt them out. And some people listening are going to go, well, often the abuse is a parent. And the reality is, it's often not both parents. So if one parent is making an issue about the child being taught this, it's
Mhm.
going to raise red flags with the other parents.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What can you tell me about the education? You said that you mentioned earlier that it's free to download. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I created the Erin's Law Foundation because one of the biggest arguments I get from legislators and why they won't pass it is this is an unfunded mandate. So I began to brainstorm and I thought, okay, I'll create the free curriculum, kindergarten to 12th grade, on age appropriate personal body safety. So what we're teaching our first graders is not what we're teaching our sixth graders. And is basically just giving kids the words, the knowledge through videos. The middle school and high school have videos of me personally talking to them about my own personal story of abuse, trying to educate them. I have a video for the educators to watch on what to do if you see the signs of abuse, if a child comes and discloses to you. And it's broken into kindergarten to second grade, third, fourth. Then we got our fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all broken up to middle school, high school, because we want it to be age appropriate.
Mhm.
Some confusion I often get and resistance from some of these red states is they think this is teaching sex education. You can download it in 1 minute from my website, anybody, anywhere in the world, and you will see that this is not sex ed. This is not teaching kids about how a baby is born, about changing your gender, what an abortion is. This is simply giving kids the voice on how to speak up and tell because I didn't have that.
It's so important. It's so, so important. Um, how did you get Aaron's Law overseas? What happened with that?
Yes. So I had been speaking at an event in Ontario, Canada, 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And somebody in the audience told the director that brought me to speak, if I ever run for office, I'm introducing Aaron's Law. Fast forward 10 years later, he ran for office and he got Aaron's Law passed in Ontario, Canada. I didn't even have to come testify. I was planning on it, but
Mm-hmm.
it passed without me. And I even say when I testify now in these remaining 12 states that have not passed Aaron's Law, we can get Ontario, Canada to see the importance of this, an American Girls Bill. Why can't we get these remaining 12 states? And then Kerala, India, a judge was seeing so many cases of sexual abuse. He did some research, found Aaron's Law. All of a sudden, I'm getting these Google alerts one night of these news articles saying a judge is now requiring Aaron's Law in the state of Kerala, India, to all their students to help give their kids a voice because he was seeing so many cases of sexual abuse. I thought it was amazing.
That
Never heard
is,
from them. It literally, after this got required. So that's another example I use in several of these states. Some of the biggest arguments I get is we don't have time for this. We already expect schools to do so much. And I tell these legislators, we can give 1 hour. I'm not asking for 6 weeks like the DARE program. If we can make time for music class, art class, we do tornado drills, bus drills, fire drills, earthquake drills, mass shooting drills. We do it twice a year in my kids' school and throughout the country of America. So if we can make time for that, kids are far more likely to be sexually abused than any of those things I just mentioned. And so I tell these lawmakers, I don't care how long this takes me, you will never get rid of me. Because one day I will bring you the proof, like I did in New York, of why I don't give up. Because I know there are kids being abused right now that are needing this voice on how to tell.
Yes, definitely. Have you ever gone inside a classroom?
Oh, yes, I've spoken at school assemblies, spoken to elementary, middle school, and high school. And every single time I do it, I have students coming up and disclosing. I make sure I have the school
Wow.
social worker counselor on hand. I mean, I have students that come to me, and this is what I say in my speech to kids. You might be listening to me today. This isn't happening to you, but it's happening to your friend. When I was being abused by my neighbor from 6, 7, and 8, by my family member from 11, 12, 13, I was keeping this secret with a best friend, with a relative on the other side of my family. And I made them peaky promise, don't tell anyone. He told me my house would be burned down if I told anyone. Family member told me I would destroy our family. So I kept silent. And so I tell students, if this is happening to someone you know, don't keep it a secret. I'll never forget the two girls that came up to me and said, our best friend is being raped by her dad. She made us promise not to tell anybody. And it took one lesson of me in a school assembly to get these two girls to come forward and the guidance counselor look at me going, oh my gosh. And, you know, having to get the authorities involved.
Wow. Do you
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of disclosures through email? Like, do people contact you and saying
Oh,
this
yes.
happens to my people?
I had a mother in Tennessee a year and a half ago reach out to me and say, I just want to let you know one lesson of your law in my 10-year-old's classroom got her to disclose that her father had been raping her for years. And because of her speaking out, her two other sisters said the same thing was happening. They were divorced, it was happening on his visitation. These girls took the stand and testified and put their father in prison for 80 years. And this mother now writes legislators all the time like a full time job because she saw how this gave her children a voice. And one of the most powerful stories I tell people, because I get asked, so is the law working? New York killed my bill for 7 years. When it finally passed, after a lot of not giving up and coming back, telling them you can't get rid of me, the very first year it was taught in New York in an elementary school, 9 children came forward saying they were being sexually abused in the principal's office. Like I mentioned,
Oh,
it's not stranger danger.
no.
90% of the time, it is someone children know and trust.
Trust.
And so, because of that, this man, as a result of these kids coming forward, when it went to trial, there were middle school, high school, college students that came forward and said, me too. He did
Yeah.
this for over a decade and is now sitting in prison for 63 years as the
63
result of one
years.
lesson. Yep.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah. I use that story every time when I testify.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.